Your homework tonight looks at two different kinds of triangles. The first you see here on the left is the 30, 60, 90 triangle, and the one on the right is the 45, 45, 90 triangle. Let's start with the 30, 60, 90 triangle. We want to draw the ghost triangle, as I refer to it, following the same pattern that we've been referring to, which is 1, 2, square root of 3. In this situation, we can now set up our two proportions. Let's say we want to solve for the hypotenuse, so we'll place an x right there. My first fraction will be that the 2 matches up with the x, and that the square root of 3 matches up with the square root of 7. And so when I write out my two fractions, it'll go 2 over x equals square root of 3 over square root of 7. Making sure to keep my fractions in the same order. When I cross multiply, I get 2 times the square root of 7 equals x times the square root of 3. We'll divide by the square root of 3 on both sides. And we get x equals 2 radical 7 over radical 3. Now, this is the final answer, but it can also be simplified. And we want to get rid of, or we want to simplify this radical 3 that we see down here in the denominator. So we're going to multiply the top and bottom by radical 3. Our final answer here is going to be in the numerator, 2 times radical 7 times radical 3 is 2 radical 21. And in the denominator, we have radical 3 times radical 3, which is just regular 3. So our answer here is 2 radical 21 over 3. Moving into the 45, 45, 90, we're going to go ahead and try to solve for this side right here. So we'll start by drawing our ghost triangle. And we know that the pattern is 1, 1, radical 2. So we'll start by setting up our two fractions. The 1 matches up with the x, and the radical 2 matches up with the radical 7. So our first fraction will be the 1 over x, and the second fraction will be the square root of 2 over the square root of 7. When we cross multiply, the x goes with the radical 2, and the 1 is multiplied by the square root of 7, which will just be the square root of 7. Divide by the square root of 2 on both sides, and we have x equals radical 7 divided by radical 2. Once again, this is the final answer, and on a test it would be given full credit, but we can simplify by multiplying by the square root of 2 in the top and bottom. And so in the top, we have square root of 7 times square root of 2, which will be square root of 14. And in the bottom, we have square root of 2 times the square root of 2, which is just regular 2. So our final answer here would be radical 14 divided by 2. Now for these examples, I picked some pretty tricky problems, and so not all of the problems in your homework will be this difficult, but they will all start by setting up these parent triangles that I'm highlighting right here. So you want to remember the 30, 60, 90 is 1, 2, radical 3, and the 45, 45, 90 is 1, 1, radical 2.